back. Time for another edition of the Carolina Insider Rapid Reactions edition as Carolina outlasts Georgia Tech today, 68-65 in the Smith Center. Jones and Adam here with you. Adam, this was a basketball game in which the Tar Heels participated. It was not pretty. Georgia Tech was down 2 starters. It was in Chapel Hill. And it took everything Carolina had to win the game. So, look, first and foremost, and you'll hear Hubert Davis talk about this, Carolina won the game, and that's the number one most important thing. However, he said something I thought is 100% accurate that, again, I'm going to spoil for you. That right now, just Carolina doesn't look like it's playing. The terms he uses are fast and free, and you will hear that conversation plus Adam's conversation with Ian Jackson coming up in a minute. I would say, in addition to fast and free, everything's just really hard right now. And every mistake, it's like, oh no, it's like this huge mistake, even if it's just a random turnover with 8 minutes to go in the first half. It just feels like there's so much tension and pressure, and they just want to be able to do it, and let us go and run and dunk it and win the game. And it just feels like everything is so tense right now that is negatively affecting the way Carolina plays. Again, they won the game. That's great. Some guys had good games. Seth Trimble, Ian Jackson in particular. We'll talk about it, but it just feels hard right now.
And because of that, I don't think it feels like much fun. You don't see the players having the type of interaction, the type of reaction that they were having to each other earlier in the year, because anytime they score, it's almost more like, whew, thank goodness, and not like, yeah. I thought the most fun play of the game was in the second half as Carolina was trying to make a push. Ian Jackson fed Jalen Withers, who then fed Seth Trimble. That was the one time it looked like the Tar Heels knew where everybody on the court was going to be. But that didn't happen very much, and that's why you have trouble offensively.
Carolina turns it over 18 times, but they did after a really poor start rebounding-wise. They did a much better job on the glass. And, Adam, that takes it to the final point that at least I want to make before we get to those interviews. The Tar Heel front court, and we've known it, we've talked about it, fans have known it, Carolina does not have the same level of depth, experience, and talent that it traditionally has in the front court. But, Adam, I feel like earlier in the season you were still getting some real impactful things from those players, whether it was Jalen Washington, Jalen Withers, Van Allen Lubin, whomever it may be. Lubin had 5 points and 8 rebounds today, but he fouled out. Withers and Washington took a combined 6 shots and scored a combined 4 points. Now, they did have 12 rebounds between the two of them, so that's good. But it just feels like, and we talked about this some after Alabama, it just feels like everything has to be done right now by the Tar Heel backcourt, and that's a hard way to live. Yeah, and Carolina played without Ty Claude, who It feels like might have helped in that area just because he not a proficient scorer or super talented offensive guy, but does some things that this team needs that might have maybe made it easier for the guards, setting some screens and certainly getting some rebounds, which is his bread and butter. But being down Ty Claude can't cause you to have a 9-point performance from your post players. And that's what happened today, and the Tar Heels barely survived it. So we will talk about some of these issues. I was able to interview Coach Davis. Adam spoke with Ian Jackson, who did play well, and we'll talk about that coming out of these interviews. But Jackson, one of 3 Tar Heels who finished in double figures. Seth Trimble led the way, a very efficient 19 points. He was 5 of 6 from the field, 8 of 9 from the free throw line. Gosh, the more I look at this is a really good game by Seth Trimble. 19 points, 7 rebounds, 4 steals, and didn't have a turnover on a day where multiple Tar Heels had 2 or more turnovers. And Ian Jackson had 15 points, including some big free throws late. Seth Trimble also hit some big free throws late. RJ Davis was the other Tar Heel in double figures. He had 16, but needed 15 shots to get those 16 points. So let's get to the interview with Coach Davis and then Ian Jackson, and then we'll come back and wrap things up after that here on a Rapid Reactions edition of the Carolina Insider. Yeah, thank you guys. Hard-fought win today for Carolina to open ACC play, 68-65, the final over Georgia Tech. I'm inside the Continental Tire Coach's Corner along with the head coach of the Tar Heels, Hubert Davis. Coach, it's hard to win a basketball game, hard to win a game in the ACC, and your team, I know, had maybe a little low on confidence here these last couple of games. What would you like from them in gutting out this 3-point win?
Yeah, I did tell them, I walked in the locker room after the game, and they had, long faces. Maybe they were wondering what my mood was going to be coming into the locker room, but I said I was really proud of them. Even before the game, I told them that you have to find joy and enjoyment of how hard it is to be successful individually and as a team. It's just hard. And winning at this level, winning in the league is difficult. And so when you're able to come out with a win, that's something to celebrate. Also, and you mentioned before, I think, we're a team that is a little wounded, losing our last 3 games, close games, the travel, and sometimes you want to play so well and to win so badly, you don't play fast and free. And I felt like for a lot of the game we didn't play that way. But something to celebrate is even when you don't feel as confident out there on the floor, can you still execute? Can you still find a way to win? And this group did. And I just think that I'm so proud of them, and it's we needed something good to happen for us, and we're able to get first conference win and able to get a win the first time in the last week and a half.
It's a great point. It didn't feel like Carolina was playing very freely. I guess it just seemed like everything was very, very hard. Just winning the game, obviously, as you alluded to, helps you take a step in the right direction. How can you try to help your guys kind of maybe try to find some of that confidence back and play freely? Because when they have, they've looked good.
Yeah. It comes at a great time. I know we've got exams this week, but we don't play again for another week. And I really believe it's the perfect time for us just to catch our breath after a win and start to heal, and start to, because you lose a couple games in the Maui Invitational, close games, and you come here and it's an emotional game against Alabama. You don't play very well, and everyone's mad, everyone's upset, everyone's in a bad mood, and I just think you play better when you are fast and free. And that's something that this week we're going to get back to so that we're playing at a high level or highest level against LaSalle next week. Your team came in averaging, I think, 10 turnovers a game and had 18 today. Yeah, 18. Any common theme there from you as you saw those? Yeah, it was we were trying to hit home runs. I always tell them, I got this from Coach Bob McKillop from Davidson. When I was working with ESPN, I did a number of games for them, specifically when Steph Curry was there, his last year there. And that's all he used to tell them. We don't need home runs. We just need singles. It was just really, and I tell the guys this all the time, and I felt like tonight we were trying to make the home run play as opposed to just making the simple play. And because of that, we had 18 turnovers. That's uncharacteristic for us, but it's something that we need to look at and address, because starting in Maui, we've averaged more turnovers than assists. We haven't played any teams that have pressed us or, trapped us and extended their pressure. So that's something that we've got to address and get better with. Coach, just one or two more things here. Vinon Lubin, Jalen Washington, Jalen Withers, 3 guys who are major contributors or major players for you in the post. They had a combined 9 points today. How can you get more from those guys, and how, if you do get more, how can that help you as a team in total? We just got to find a way, as you said, to get more. Whether it's run some more plays for them, put them in situations where they can be successful offensively. It's not sustainable to put all the pressure on our guards. You can't put all the pressure on them to score from the outside, attack the basket, get us to the free throw line, get us into the penalty, rebound the basketball. Like we have to find a way to find consistent production out of that 4 or 5 position.
Carolina able to fight through it today, though, and get a win against Georgia Tech 68-65. Coach, thank you for your time, and we'll see you early this week at Top of the Hill for Hubert Davis Live, and see you next week here back in the Smith Center.
All right, thanks a lot, Jones. I appreciate it.
Alongside Ian Jackson after Carolina beats Georgia Tech. Ian was just looking through the box score. When you look at the box score from that win, what do you see?
We didn't play the best game. We got it done. The first win in a few weeks, so we're grateful for the win. We had to clean some things up, but we're grateful for that win just now.
Down 3 with roughly about 7 minutes left. What changed from that point forward?
I feel like we locked in more defensively. We got some huge stops. We stayed patient on offense. We got what we wanted. We didn't take any forced shots, and we just stayed disciplined down that stretch.
At that point, when I think it was 52-49 them, there was a really nice play in transition where you and Jalen Withers and I think Seth ended up getting the basket on the transition play. Yeah. That seemed like the type of offense that Carolina would like to have even more of. How were you able to get it on that play, and how do you get even more of it going forward?
Just continue to get used to each other, and that's a little glimpse of what we can be. So, just kind of look at that, and as players understand what we can be and why that happened and how we can get it to happen more.
You do look like you're getting more comfortable, like you're understanding more where the offense is coming from, where your shots are. Is that an accurate assessment, and how are you feeling in terms of just adjusting to college basketball?
Yeah, for sure. It's always an adjustment. So I feel like played enough games to where I'm starting to understand what it is, what Coach wants us to do, where he wants me to shoot, where he doesn't want me to shoot. So I understand the game. He came with some experience, some reps. I got a few reps in. He's coming along now.
What's behind some of these first halves lately that have not been great? Today wasn't great. The first halves in Hawaii obviously weren't great. The first half against Alabama wasn't great. What could change there?
We just got to come out with some better energy. I feel like we come out a lot of games flat, and so we just got to come out there with some better energy. And as a unit, even the bench, we got to come in off the bench and have a bigger spark than what we've been having. But like I said, we'll figure it out.
When a team's struggling to score inside, what does that mean the guards have to do especially when the opposing defense knows that too? They know that there's not a lot of offense down there right now.
We just gotta attack the basket. We gotta create easier opportunities for our bigs. You attack the basket, get their big man to help over and drop it down to them. So just create easy opportunities for them to get them going, and then I feel like from there on we can get everybody else going. Get Wash going, get us some dunks, get us some layups. So we attack and create, and then we'll create for everybody else. I feel.
Season's really long, and you go through high points and low points, and I don't think there's any question. Tar Heels probably aren't playing as well right now as they were maybe a month ago. But you got a week off coming up. What's important this next week to try to get back into that rhythm that it felt like everybody was in a little earlier in the year?
Just getting back to our principles. I feel like that there are some things that we kind of got away from that we shouldn't have gotten away from. So we just got to understand what we was doing back then that we aren't doing now, and just get back to it. We did it before, so it's not impossible, So it shouldn't be impossible to get back to it.
What were you doing then, team-wise, that is not happening as much now?
I feel like we were a little bit more unselfish. Defensively, we was way more sound. We took care of the ball at a way better rate than we're doing now. So yeah, those two things.
That's Ian Jackson after Carolina gets a win, beats Georgia Tech in the ACC opener. Ian, thank you.
No problem.
So, again, 68-65, the final. And, Adam, it sets up an important week for Carolina. The Tar Heels are into the exam break, so no game in the midweek. They are back on the Smith Center floor a week from today against LaSalle, an out-of-conference opponent, at 4 o'clock. And feels like an important week to get better, to, as Hubert Davis likes to say, tweak or pivot things, get a little healthy, Ty Claude in particular, which, again, in that rotation in the front court. Ellie Cadeau's been, I think, a little under the weather recently, which has hurt his performance, and he did not play particularly well in this game, 4 of 13 from the field, and a career-high 7 turnovers of the season-high 18 that Carolina had as a team. So an important week upcoming for the Heels.
Feels like Carolina just needs to chill out a little bit.
Chill out. Decompress.
They've had a very busy schedule with a lot of travel, as Hubert Davis mentioned with you, and that's not an excuse. Like, we get it. But they've been together a lot. There's been a lot of basketball. Take a couple days, get some shots up, but otherwise go play video games or go out to eat with your family or whatever. and then come back middle of the week and start getting ready for a really important stretch. It's got that home game with LaSalle and then 2 critical neutral site non-conference games with Florida and UCLA.
Adam, I don't think anybody leaves this game feeling great. But Tar Heels won the game. A game they had you could not lose this game if you were Carolina. And they won the game. They got some stops near the end. They got some important offensive rebounds to extend some key possessions. Seth Trimble had a big 3 at one point in time. Elliot Cadeau had a big 3 in this game. They won the game, which was the most important thing.
And now you get to sit on 1-0 in the ACC until January 1st when you can start worrying about the league again. And that the Tar Heels have been 0-1 in this position before, and that's tough. Yeah. So they got ultimately what they needed with plenty to work on.
Yeah. So Carolina wins at 68-65. Quick reminder about the upcoming week. We will have Hubert Davis live on Monday night. That's at Top of the Hill, 7 o'clock. Look forward to being there with Coach Davis. We have our Catching Up with Coach Davis feature where he comes in here to the podcast studio. He'll sit down with Adam and me. That is on Monday morning. Should then be available for you pretty quickly on Monday afternoon. No game this week, but we'll be back with you next Saturday for Carolina and LaSalle. A couple other just sport reminders. Women's soccer playing for the national title on Monday. Look forward to cheering on the Heels as they face Wake Forest. And, of course, if there's any football coaching news, keep your eyes and ears open. Adam and I hope to have a very quick conversation with whomever the new coach may be if that decision is made here in the near future. So keep your eyes open for that as well. But for today, Carolina is able to outfight Georgia Tech, 68-65 the final. That'll do it for us here on a Rapid Reactions edition of the Carolina Insider presented by Modelo.